Hi, and welcome to Scarborough Theatre Guild's Let's Talk. Today we have with us Joe Szekeres, and he has reviewed shows across the GTA and beyond. And I'm so pleased to have him here. So, to tell you a little bit about Joe, he, before reviewing, was 33 years in teaching, with including French as a second language, English, and he also spent time as a school librarian. And he's been behind the scenes and on the stage as well. He's directed, he's produced, he's stage managed for a variety of theater groups in Durham region. He feels very fortunate because he has acted and directed in all of his dream shows. So how many of us can say that? And now he is the supervisory Toronto critic for Onstage Blog, which is based in the US, and he'll tell us more. And he's hoping to reach out to more professional theater groups in the Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal area. So without further ado, let's welcome Joe. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Erin. I appreciate this.
So please tell us more. We've gotten to know you through the reviews and coming to many of the shows in Scarborough, and so it'd be great to learn a little bit more about you in terms of how you got where you got. And more about the review world.
Well, I started to become involved in community theater when I was in my second year at Western. Okay, I'm a Western grad. Go Stangs. Okay, and I did a production of Cabaret there at that time at the Talbot Theater, and then after I finished my undergrad and I finished my teacher's college, my teacher training at Queen's University, I got involved with community theater. My first show coming out during my first year of teaching was night of January the 16th at the Whitby Little Theater, which is now the Whitby Courthouse Theater. And since 1985, I've been involved in productions, either as an actor, director, stage manager. Sometimes I help move sets around as well. So yeah, and then I found near the end that it's almost the same thing when I started teaching as well too. I got restless. When I've done all the dream roles that I've wanted to play, the only role that I would like to do one day, and it probably may not come along again, is A Man for All Seasons. Okay, and I didn't get a chance to do that one, but other than that, I've directed and acted and produced the shows I've wanted, and I thought, there's got to be something else. There's got to be something else. So it was talking to some individuals who sort of encouraged me to review. And I had been thinking about reviewing for quite some time. I'd taken some workshops. I think we've all watched, we've seen reviewers on television. We've read reviews in the online in the local papers as well. And I kept thinking, I really would like to do that. So I took a workshop with Lynn Slotkin, and Lynn is a well-known reviewer across Canada and into the U.S. and overseas as well. And she has provided some guidance for me on this path as well. And Will McGurk. Will is the publisher for Slow City, where I began all of this new journey, this journey as a reviewer. So yeah, so that's where I've gone right now with what I'm doing with reviewing, and I'm enjoying it. This has given me a new life once again, and a new appreciation for the performing arts, both at the community theater level and at the professional level too. The contacts I'm making in both areas, okay, has been fascinating, really, really just awesome, and I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Wonderful, and we're going to have to hear more about that, and beyond reviews, I know you're doing interviews as well. So, well, let's find out more. But before we do that, are there things about you that people don't know that they would find interesting or fascinating?
Je parle français. Et aussi, j'avais participé dans une pièce de théâtre à Trois Pistoles en 82.
Très bien, je ne sais pas.
I speak French.
Parlez-vous français?
No, and anyway, I decided people wanted to, oh my gosh, he speaks French. So, but no, my minor is French language and literature, and I did a 6-week up in Trois Pistoles. Okay, it was part of my program as well too, where we had to live the language, and I had to participate in a French children's play.
Wow.
So it was all completed in French, and then there was one night as part of our evaluation as well too. We had to actually become the characters in this French story, and I was the king. So we had to have the crown and everything else. It had to go with that. So yes, so I speak French.
Excellent.
And one of my goals this year as well, and I've been in touch with one of the PR ladies who through the Théâtre Français de Toronto. I'd like to start to review over there as well.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
It's lovely to have more than one language because it opens you up to so many more possibilities.
Yes.
Wonderful. You've done so much, so can you share with us some fun memories of whether being on stage, behind the scenes, or shows that you've seen?
I remember many moons ago in a production of Death of a Salesman, where I was younger and thinner, and I played one of the Willie Loman's sons, and myself and this other gentleman, we got the giggles close to dress rehearsal one night, because the actor who played Willie, God rest his soul, he could not remember his lines, and it used to send myself, and I won't name the other actor, okay, but it used to send me first just into this. I couldn't stop laughing. And it was just to the point where I got the other actor laughing during one of the dress rehearsals, and we had to stop. And the director said, take 10 minutes, go outside, compose yourself, get back in here, and we're going to pick it up again. So that was one memory that I will always, I still find very funny about that one. Oh yeah, oh yeah. And then another night during a run of Fiddler on the Roof at the Oshawa Little Theatre, we were backstage, and we had to help get the actors, when they weren't on stage, had to help move the set pieces in place. And the final dress rehearsal for the dream sequence, as Tevye and Golda were climbing into bed for the bed broke. The mattress came right through the frame. So they still had to do the scene, and they were down right underneath the frame, and they were still doing the whole scene.
Oh.
And then right at the end, they picked themselves up, and we all had to get the pieces. Yeah, we were howling, and our first thought was just, how are we going to get this done? How are they going to? We did it. Okay, we did it. Okay, so those are two fun memories that I can recall right now.
That's wonderful. At the time, I know when those things can happen to us, we can get worried and think, oh no, how are we going to get out of it? But there's the beauty of just being in the moment, and
yes.
Everyone supports one another, and that's such a lovely piece
Yeah.
of live theater. So speaking of live theater, and now that we're in this kind of holding pattern, as things have shut down, what are your thoughts on other ways of reaching audiences, and with online innovation and things like that?
Well, I'm tomorrow night. I'm going up to a theater on the Ridge. They are doing staged readings of plays. They had done a production last week of Peter Paler, a Belleville playwright, The Grand To Do, and it was a staged reading. It was the world premiere, and Mr. Paler was there that night as well. And that play opened, and then tonight opens a selection of monologues and stage reading once again, which runs until Thursday. And then they're doing Michael, and I hope I get the playwright's name correct, Michael Albert's staged reading of The Hun next week. So there are some staged readings going on, okay, which is keeping interest up, and if people do actually want to actually sit outside, and you do feel safe, okay, everyone's wearing the mask, the performers obviously are 6 feet apart, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and if they do have to get up and provide a little bit of action, they stay within their, let's call it the little bubble of
Mm-hmm.
of the stool, if that's the case. And yeah, and I've been also doing some profiling of professional actors and community theater actors as
Mm-hmm.
well, and that has really been very interesting, very interesting. A number of the actors whom I've contacted, they've all said yes, both professional and community theater. There some have had to turn me down for various reasons, and I understand that completely. We all have lives, especially if you have young children, and
Mm-hmm.
if they were a parent, and when the school was closed, they had to do the teaching for the
Mm-hmm.
kids at home. But no, that has been very interesting. Okay, profiling the actors. So I've concluded the what's happening with community theater folks just this past weekend, and I have 2 more articles appearing this coming week for my onstage column Craig Lozon, he used to be on Air Farce, Royal Canadian Air Farce, and wonderful actor, and actually a hell of a nice guy too. Oh, we had a Zoom conference, okay, and we had such a good conversation, laughing. Oh my gosh, just as we were chatting, you know, he had me laughing, and yes, and then the other person I'm going to be profiling is, I hope I get Jillian's last name right, Keeley. She's the artistic director from the National Arts Centre in Ottawa, the English Theatre Division. So I'm hoping if all goes well, you know, that once we all go back to the theatre, I would love to go to the National Arts Centre to review some productions at the NAC.
Well, that's wonderful, because it sounds like it's a combination of still keeping theater alive, but in a socially distant and responsible way, as well as doing some online activity through interviews and keeping audiences engaged by learning more about who you're interviewing. Not unlike what we're trying to do. Do you have any other interviews that you've done that you've particularly enjoyed or found, you know, it's just, you know, such a great experience?
Oh yes. We communicated via email only because she lives in London, England. Rebecca Kane, who was the original Christine Daae in the Toronto production of the Phantom of the Opera. When I got in touch with her, it was what she said, absolutely, she would love to do it. Bruce Dow, okay, who a local Canadian actor, and he's done the first production of Les Mis in Toronto. He was in a production of Diana, the new musical, when everything shut down in New York. So he got in touch with me as well, and I interviewed him too, and who else? Oh, the creators of Come From Away, David Hine and Irene Carl Sankoff. Wonderful. Okay, again, that was all done again by email, because they have kids. They were wonderful.
Lovely. They're a lovely couple.
Lovely, yes.
And there's beginnings in community theater as well.
Absolutely. Then yes. Oh yes. No. And yes. So on the professional front there, yes, I've had some really interesting conversations. And on the community theater front, yes, I've learned a lot. I've learned a little bit more about some of the other groups, and some of the other groups outside of Scarborough got in touch with me. I heard from Stage Center. I've also heard from, this name always appealed to me when I heard the name of this production company, Mortar and Pestle. I don't know if you know that particular company or not, okay? When Melissa Beveridge, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, sorry Melissa if I'm not pronouncing it right, but she got in touch with me, okay, Mortar and Pestle, and I thought, what a cool name for a theater company. What a cool name, Mortar and Pestle.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I've looked at some of the interviews online with great fascination, and as part of my research, knowing that I was going to be interviewing you. So, so maybe you could tell everyone where they can find these online.
Yes, if you go to onstageblog.com, all one word, onstageblog.com, and then you're going to go to the drop-down menu. Okay, there'll be about 4 lines, squiggly lines at the top right-hand column. Just click on there, and then all the components of the blog will come down. We have reviews, we have profiles, we have on-stage blog. I also reviewed Nancy Paulk's. Talked to her first about her film version. I can't think of the name of the film right now. Sorry, Nancy, if you're watching this one too. But anyways, so everything's listed right there. So, and if you want to read my InsideLookingIn60.com, InsideLookingIn60.com.
Excellent, thank you. So it sounds like you're staying pretty busy by doing interviews and still doing reviews. And are some of those also online as well as seeing things live? Have you reviewed any online productions?
Yes, I have. There's a wonderful production of a House Factory Theater. Nina Liakino, she directed that one, and that was the first show that I had reviewed online. And Kevin Hansen, sorry Kevin if I can't remember his name, but it was all done in his basement. Okay, and I thought, wow, again, it's a new way of looking at things for now. For now, it's a new way of looking at things. Who knows when we're all going to be back. Coming over here for the interview tonight, I heard we could be sticking around like this for at least another year.
Well, it's good that to be creative and flexible because there's still ways to be engaged, which
Absolutely.
is fabulous.
Absolutely. You know, some people, some of the interviewees I've been mentioning, they don't care. Some of them don't care for it because they feel it's too much like watching television.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I can possibly see that too. And sometimes if you think, well, just don't look at it, even though it's two-dimensional when we watch something, okay, through a screen, just try not to think of it that way.
Mm-hmm. And hey, it continues to evolve, so we don't know exactly where it's all going to go yet.
Absolutely
But
not, yeah.
that can be exciting. So is there anything else that you're doing to stay busy aside from theater activities?
Trying to improve my culinary skills.
Ah.
Slowly, very, very slowly. But I'm trying. I'm trying. Walking, trying to get my exercise up once again too. Okay, hopefully the workout room in my building will have the workout, the equipment there open once again. Commencer à parler en français. I try to keep my ear tuned to the French language, and just visiting my family. We have a new arrival in our immediate family. My nephew and his partner, they have a little baby girl, and Thursday, I turn 60. So I am.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. So I told my nephew, "You give me that little baby, and I want that my great niece to be sitting, hopefully right there with me, looking at her right that way too." And I figure that's going to be a milestone.
Oh, lovely! So you're engaging with your family bubble or social
Yes,
bubble, as they say.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, I noticed when I was looking at many of the interviews you've done, you've paid tribute to Insider Studio and some of the
Inside
questions
the
they
actor studio,
do.
then yes.
So, and you've graciously agreed to partake in some of the questions you ask some of the people you interview. So if we do that now, I'd like to start with, what's your favorite word?
I could say it's love. I could say it's love, man, but I'm not going to. So, friendship.
Friendship.
Friendship, yeah.
Your least favorite word?
Hatred. Hatred. Just hatred in all forms, and what that all entails for anything.
And what is something that really turns you on?
Listening to a song that I've never heard before, and if it brings tears to my eyes.
And something that turns you off?
Negativity.
And what's a sound that you love?
The ocean. The ocean, just when you hear the way as the waves are coming through, love that. Love to hear that.
Is there a sound that bothers you?
Construction noises.
Is there any other career that you could see yourself in?
I wanted to be a translator when I was in high school. Yeah, I thought about translating, but then when I had heard that the course up at the University of Ottawa is very intensive, and we still had grade 13 at that time, so I'm old, I know, grade 13, but when I heard that the course was very intensive and that people, after your first year, if you weren't cutting it, off you go. So I knew right away, no, I don't want to be a translator. And then I thought about being an airline pilot when I was a kid. I liked the idea of being an airline pilot. I liked the idea of flying everywhere. And then and then I had a cousin who taught. He's retired right now, and I just sort of came into the world of teaching, and I'd never regretted it. After 33 years, I've had many experiences. Some wonderful ones, some that. I had to, have to hold my breath and count to 10 before I erupt and say something. Just learn to count to 10. But
And finally, if heaven exists, what do you hope God will say to you as you approach the pearly gates?
Bill and your dad are here. They're waiting to see you with open arms.
Oh.
Bill's my brother.
So Joe, as we think about the times that have changed so much, and we're in a very different time right now, and you've talked about some of the innovation that is currently going on, but what do you see next for theater, given all the things going on in the world right now?
It's been interesting during this whole time. especially watching the professional companies and what's going on there. And in June, we had the black artist speak from the Stratford Festival, and the week afterwards, we had the Indigenous artist speak from the Stratford Festival as well too. And there was a whole issue there regarding equitability and being and fairness, okay, in participation in theater. And I listened to both of those panel discussions, and my gosh, it was just wow, what hasn't gone on and what should have been going on. So my question right now is, and I don't know if the community theaters will have an answer for this or not, but it's how are the community theaters in the GTA going to deal with with BIPOC, and that meaning the Black, Indigenous persons of color, ensuring that there is equitability, okay, for artists, for anybody who wants to come in to join the production. There was a lady I interviewed for my Inside Looking In column, and she made a really good point, and she said, number one, okay, why are you choosing plays that perhaps cannot encourage persons of color to join, and if you've chosen a play, then choose another play in order to encourage a person of color to come out for this thing. But if you get I don't know if you saw the Stratford Festival, when the black artists were speaking and the Indigenous artists. Fascinating. You probably find that on YouTube as well.
Yes, they are on YouTube. I know I've seen them, and I do encourage people to have a look. Yeah.
But that's just a question that I think that the community theaters now have to start asking. What are we going to do to ensure equitability for all persons?
And that's a great point, because as we have this sort of pause and we have to rethink how to keep community theater alive, this is a lovely opportunity to look at all of those key components and really revisit how we do things. So
absolutely,
great points. So so I don't know if we have the answers yet.
I don't. Yeah, I know, and I don't. At least the professional theaters have started. That they talked about how they are going to ensure, okay, equitability and fairness, and I wonder right now if the community theater groups have to start looking at that as well, to start perhaps making that as part of their mandate, their notice that they want to send out to their members.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So a very insightful observation, and hopefully many of the groups around the GTA will take that to heart, because there's some wonderful work being done in the professional theater realm at this point too.
Absolutely.
And it's still in its infancy.
Yes.
So there's a starting blueprint that's starting to happen.
Yes.
So again, thank you for sharing your insight, because you see many things that we may not see from our own lens or within contained theater groups. You get to see the lens from many different groups, both professional and community theater. Some lovely moments, and I think during this time that has given us a lot of reflection opportunities. It's nice to hear those things, because it does show what's important to oneself, right? So I'm so pleased that you were able to join us.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
So to find out more about the theater groups under Theatre Scarborough, please go to www.theatrescarborough.com. Please check out Joe's interviews online at
onstageblog.com or insidelookin6060.com.
Wonderful. So thank you for joining us again, and please tune in again next time.